Dozens of tropes, more than 70 movies. We've covered a lot of ground in this series, and most of it has painted a pretty bleak picture of the way people see developers. After all that, you might want to sit down for what I'm about to tell you. Ready? Not every single real estate developer movie is an evil developer movie. Don't get excited. There aren't many, but they do exist. And those few exceptions can be extremely valuable because they show how the prevailing narrative about real estate developers isn't the only one people are willing to accept. And if it can happen in a movie theater, there's no reason why. With the right perspective and a little effort, you can't see a similar change in the communities you work in too. So strap on your golf shoes, because we're about to take a look at a movie with perhaps the best example of the not-so-evil developer in cinema, Caddyshack. While this movie is probably best remembered for its powerhouse comedic performances and animatronic dancing gopher, it's also a real estate developer movie, with all the usual conversations about class, privilege, and community that often pop up in the genre. Take our working class protagonist, biking past giant mansions on his way to work at the country club, a strong contrast to the Rolls-Royce driving villain, who, you'll be shocked to learn, is not a developer at all. He's a judge. Hold on. Is that right? There must be some mistake. Isn't there a real estate developer around we can blame for something?
Know what gophers can do to a golf course? Why, sir, I think they're tunneling in from that construction site over yonder.
Terrific construction company.
Let's pause here for a moment. Are your developer senses tingling yet? We've got a giant development project that's displacing gophers and threatening the community's existing way of life. It seems like this is the first time the judge has ever heard of the company. Probably a sign of bad outreach. And, to top it all off, the company's even named for the real estate developer, which, as you know by now, is an unforgivable sin. It sure seems like an evil developer's afoot here.
Slap an injunction on them so fast it'll make their head spin.
We should be thrilled to hear the judge wants to sue, right? But no, something strange is happening. We don't feel the need to hate the real estate developer because we're being invited to hate this man more. In so many movies, real estate developers are depicted as out-of-touch elitists who either don't understand or even get a sick kind of pleasure from the harm they do to regular people, which creates the impression that this is who developers are. But just a few minutes into this movie, that idea is turned on its head. Given the choice between rooting for the real estate developer or these stuffy country club folks, well, there's really no choice at all. Somehow, we're on the developer's side before we've even met him.
Yeah, kid, park my car, get my bags, and put on some weight, will you?
There's plenty of things we could hate here. His obnoxious car, his vanity license plate, his vanity golf bag. But who could hate this face? And who could hate someone who's such an expert at taking these rich folks down a peg?
Oh, it looks good on you, though.
Of course, the real estate developer's rich too, obviously. But that doesn't stop him from being likable. Maybe it has to do with his working class roots.
Hey, what do you got here, rocks?
Are you kidding? When I was your age, I would lug 50 pounds of ice up 5, 6 flights of stairs.
But it can't just be that, because there are a few sympathetic club members as well, like the club's champion golfer, who, despite being cursed with generational wealth, dresses modestly and is friends with regular people.
I can't afford it. I haven't even told him about the scholarship I didn't get. I'm going to end up working in a lumber yard the rest of my life.
It's interesting to note the natural balance between these three characters. The protagonist, who's destined to work at the lumber yard, the club champion who owns them, and the real estate developer, who uses the lumber to build homes. Together, they seem to represent hard work and an investment in the future. Contrast that with the elite club members. What's their contribution to society? Okay, so they're judges, doctors, and priests. But the judge cheats and bribes people. The doctor routinely ignores emergency calls, and the priest is so sacrilegious that he gets struck down by God. Not exactly the pillars of society there, are they?
Your father and I prepped together, went to war together, we played golf together. We built this club, he and I. Let's face it, son. Some people simply do not belong.
In typically dramatic fashion, this conflict leads up to a high-stakes golf match with all the makings of a classic last-ditch developer versus community competition. In fact, that's quite literally what it is. But here's the thing. There are actually two communities here. The elite, entitled club members, and all the people who support the club, caddies, waitstaff, groundskeepers, along with their rich allies, like the champion, and yes, the developer. That community, the ragtag misfits, is the one the audience sympathizes with, and the real estate developer is fully accepted as a part of it.
Nothing, absolutely. You understand? Nothing!
I figured as much. Hey, Moose, Rocco, help the judge find his checkbook, will you?
Oh, well, I will.
So, what did we learn here? That you can get people to like you by becoming a boisterous buffoon? That you should only aim to destroy rich people's communities because it'll make you more popular with the public? Not exactly. The real takeaway is this. People don't hate you because you're a real estate developer. Instead, they're trained to hate certain attributes that the movies associate with wealth and power, like privilege, cruelty, and corruption. But a movie like Caddyshack proves that people's dislike of developers as developers might not actually be that stubborn. It's a reminder of the opportunity we have to shift these narratives, to find ways to address these assumptions, to use them to reshape the conversation into something more productive. Ready to learn how? Check out the secret formula for a comprehensive approach to addressing communities and winning more approvals in less time. And who knows? Before long, you could be getting this kind of reception at community meetings.
Hey, everybody, we're all going to get laid.